All right, let's give our feedback on Rematch. Current beta, NDA is up for now. So I'm going to go ahead and give my feedback. I'm going to try to push it directly to Slow Clap because it's really for them. I'm going to push it to their Twitter. Hopefully they'll see it. Obviously they have a lot of feedback to go through, but I figured it'd be easier than trying to push it through Discord and dealing with all the noise there. Yeah, for the most part, it's fun. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically a 5 versus 5 PvP football game. It's kind of like those indoor football games from past titles. You think like FIFA and whatnot. I have my concerns as to whether or not it will actually pick up a following, but I mean, it's fun. It should be a nice little small audience type of game. In terms of the beta, I'm going to split it into two pieces. I'm going to split it into the beta experience itself and then the gameplay mechanics irrespective of that. Things I think need to change for the game as a whole, and then things that need to be improved for the beta itself, or at least the online experience. So jumping into the beta, first major issue is definitely the region locking, the lack of region settings. You know, you get thrown into games and you get put into random regions, random matches. I'm situated on the eastern coast of the USA, United States of America, and I've gotten thrown into games for Europe far more than any other country and any other region. Europe, South America, even the west coast of the US, there are no options to say, I want to focus on this region because that's where I'm going to get the best playing experience. And for online PvP games, that's crucial. When it comes to the beta, I'm pretty sure that's going to impact a lot of the feedback you guys get, just because poor latency will impact the actions and the results on the field. So definitely, I think that needs to be number one priority for the next beta above everything else, is sorting that out. I think it's unacceptable as it is now, and it really needs to be resolved. After that is ranked mode. It's also unacceptable that matches can start when one team is down a man or two. You know, ranked mode is supposed to be the competitive mode, it's the progression-based mode, so having teams start at a disadvantage is kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? If it can't find a full team on either side, it needs to just kill the match outright. Because getting put into a game where you're at a disadvantage or you have an advantage and it's treated like normal, you know, you're penalized if you quit, you lose the same number of points if you lose, you gain the same number of points if you win. It's really unbalanced. That needs to be sorted out if you want your competitive play to be tested seriously. And the number 3 comes to bots. I mean, I understand what you guys are going for. Like, obviously a game like this is going to need all the support it can get in terms of interest. And it's probably going to struggle, unfortunately, but, you know, we'll see how it does. But kind of the idea behind bots in this game is they're treated like real players. So what happens is, if I'm not mistaken, the game will new up some characters, it will like throw some parts together, it will throw a name, pick a name from a pool, and then it will throw the bot in there and try to make you believe that the bots are real players. But this is pretty annoying. I'd even say borderline frustrating, because bots don't play like humans. There are certain things you have to be aware of when it comes to computer-controlled players that humans don't have to take account of. There are certain reactions they can make. There are certain reads they can make that humans can't do. And that comes with playing with bots and playing against bots. So I really think this game needs to let you know when bots are involved. If I'm playing with a bot on my team, I'd like to know, because that means there are certain things I can expect from it. There are certain holes I need to cover. When certain actions are taken, I can understand it's because that's just an AI limitation. Same is true when I'm playing against bots. There are certain things I'm going to have to be aware of. It's going to be able to make like a frame-perfect dribble moves and things like that. It's going to be able to tell when I miss a slide tackle and know that it can just keep going. You know, it can do certain things that humans can't do. I'm going to have to approach it in different ways, right? Definitely we need to know when bots are on the field. I think it's more detrimental to hide them as real players, especially when every single player is controlled by another individual user. Definitely something I think needs to be considered. From the gameplay side of things, it feels good for the most part. I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel. Indoor 5 versus 5 football is not new. I mean, I'm a big fan of Sifu. I played a lot of Sifu. I understand the idea of mastery. You know, mastery through learning. Obviously, that's the whole point of learning, right? Get to a higher state of proficiency. So I get that. The whole idea of controlling an individual player like it's Master League from Pro Evolution Soccer, before it was eFootball, is interesting too. Not Master League, whatever you call it. You know the mode I'm talking about. Become a legend. Yeah, but there are a few key issues though. We're gonna start from the back. The goalkeeper. Goalkeeper has too much leniency when it comes to making saves. It makes it a lot harder to score than it should be. Basically, when they dive, it's like there's this huge area of effect around the model itself. So basically, if the ball ends up in that area of effect, it gets sucked into the goalkeeper's hands, which is pretty annoying because it can be a bit difficult to get good shots on goal. And to have a goalkeeper who can just kind of suck the ball in like that, if they just dive in the direction of the shot, is pretty ridiculous. Ideally, positioning should be more important than anything else. I haven't seen a lot of players taking advantage of the fact that just holding the left trigger puts you into a catchable state, or lets you save the ball once it touches you. They rely on the dive because the dive is so good. Ideally, the area of effect around the goalkeeper would be smaller, so you have to take a bit more of a risk when it comes to diving. Diving isn't the go-to action against shots on goal unless it's really necessary. And in terms of the success of catching the ball, I think that needs to be toned down. Basically, the further you dive, the less likely you are to catch the ball is how I think it should work. So if you're making really far dives, that should be bouncing the ball back into play. If you get into position and you make shorter dives, it should be easier to hold on to the ball, which is generally how it works in real life, right? Obviously, it's a video game, but that's kind of the idea. And then you reward players for positioning themselves properly. Ideally, the best save you can make is standing up, then it's a short dive, then it's like a Hail Mary dive across the face of the goal. Kind of make it more interesting for the attacker as well. It would make all these different attacking styles be more relevant, like short passes, soft taps into the goal, things like that aren't really feasible, because if the goalkeeper is even close to the area above the ball, he's gonna pick it up off the ground, right? On the second side of the goalkeeper woes, having their shots deflectable is pretty silly. Like, I've been playing football games since the 1990s, way back when, and I've never played a football game where the goalkeeper could clear the ball and a forward could deflect it in flight. Doesn't make sense. The goalkeepers are very limited back there. They're the last line of defense. So putting the ball on the ground is a major risk. Generally, clearance is something that can't be impacted, so they can actually get the ball out of there. I understand this game is 5 versus 5, so there can be fewer defenders at the back. But allowing forwards to sit there in camp and deflect as it comes out is an issue, because now goalkeepers have to work really hard just to send the ball forward. It also incentivizes a really messed up, I guess is the term I'd use. I'm not going to say toxic, but it does kind of incentivize a style of play where people lose possession of the ball and they still want to attack. Everything is attack. Nobody wants to fall back and defend. When the goalkeeper gets the ball, everyone should be falling back to start playing defense. There might be one forward there to harass in case the goalkeeper wants to put the ball on the ground, but it should be known that, like every other football game in the past 20 or so years, when the goalkeeper clears the ball, there's nothing you can do. So find something else to do. And that way, players are actually willing to fall back and help their teammates in defense. You're more likely to get something that feels like football as opposed to hoping for a lucky bounce due to maybe like latency issues or something, roll back on a poor connection that gives you the advantage. Really silly. They're the reason why other games don't allow it. Slow Clap and Rematch need to learn from those instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not sure if it's a mechanical issue, but that's definitely something you guys need to get sorted out for sure. After that, I would say possession of the ball is a bit of an issue. When it comes to stamina utilization, I don't think dribble moves use enough stamina. It incentivizes a type of play style where players would rather keep possession of the ball and try to dribble past their opponents instead of pass it off to a teammate somewhere. If you know anything about football, the pass is the building block of an offense. Pass it laterally, pass it back, whatever, get it to a man who can actually make a play. In this game, since dribble moves, like standing dribble moves cost no stamina, which is insane, and then the rainbow flick uses way too little, it kind of incentivizes players to try and beat their man instead of getting the ball around the pitch. It's less dynamic, they're more likely to keep their teammates out of the mix, it's more tends to be like a ball hog mentality, and then they lose the ball. It can be frustrating if you're playing in the midfield and you're trying to make a run or whatever. Ideally, the solution to this would make ball handling moves or dribbling moves use more stamina. The rainbow flick needs to use way more than it currently does. Right now, it is the go-to move whenever you have possession of the ball. It's easy to stop when you know that it's coming, but most people are going to abuse it anyway. Need to use more stamina so there's less of a reason to just rely on it. Use it occasionally, take the risk maybe once, twice, even 3 times if you're feeling gutsy. But after that, you should pretty much be out of stamina, which kind of limits you in other areas of the field. Standing ball dribble moves need to cost stamina as well. Right now they cost none. I don't know why they don't cost any. They need to cost like at least a 1/6 of your bar, if not more. I'd say start with a 1/6 of your bar so you can only use so many. But there comes a point in time where you have to pass the ball off. Also means that if you sprinted to get to the ball, you're less likely to have a lot of moves to use. And I also think when you have possession of the ball, your stamina should not regen at all. That way, you're kind of incentivized to get the ball off, kind of use it as a resource. You utilize it in that sense, but you're limited in what you can do. So it's not just a case where you can keep possession of the ball, run with it, ignore your teammates, try to beat every man coming at you, and then eventually lose the ball and now your team has lost possession. It kind of incentivize more ball passing, team sharing, quick pass sort of play, less ball hogging, and just leads to a better experience overall. On the other side of that is when you gain possession of the ball. I think there needs to be a slight window of invulnerability when you first touch the ball. In this game, it is possible to lose the ball as you touch it, like on the same frame. I'm familiar with action games. I'm familiar with games where frame data is relevant. I know about hitboxes and all that stuff. I mean, Sifu. I love Sifu, and it's a similar situation. Like in this game, if you slide tackle at the ball and someone touches it and you overlap, the guy goes down, which is pretty ridiculous because it means now you're in a situation where you want to hit a ball carrying move before you even touch the ball. And I get it, you can do push ball and stuff like that, but online, when you look at things like latency and delay and rollbacks and stuff like that, it's not a one-to-one offline experience. So ideally, there would be a little bit of time where you can actually input a move before you get tackled. If you decide not to input a move, then you go down, sure. But it gives you an opportunity to do something, If you try to pass the ball, that has enough startup to get you tackled. It'll give you time to at least push the ball to the left or the right or whatever. Right now, it's like you can be tackled on frame 1, which puts the advantage in the defender's space, which is really problematic when you're in your own half. For example, you can be trying to win the ball and then kind of make a play from a defensive standpoint. If you touch the ball, someone tackles you immediately, you lose possession of the ball, you stumble, and they continue to attack. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Feel like that needs to be resolved. And then what else? And then finally, just to end this video, the game doesn't really incentivize team play. I have played matches where it looks like you have 5-man groups and they'll kind of be on the same page, they'll pass the ball around, they'll be in sync. That's kind of the ideal way that the game would play, but most of the time, you're going to be solo queuing more often than not. Again, I don't think this game is going to have a huge audience, so getting like a 5-man squad is going to be kind of a limited sort of thing. But it doesn't incentivize passing the ball enough. Like, passing can be difficult. You're kind of relying on someone else to make a play. Sometimes they'll be out of position. Sometimes they'll be running towards you instead of making a run. A lot of people don't seem to understand that they need to give their man options instead of trying to, be the man who creates them. So, you need to make runs, you need to make space, you need to do all that stuff and give your guys opportunities. You need to come up and give them passing lanes. It can be tough to want to pass the ball off like that, but it needs to incentivize it more. I feel like successful passes need to give you more points. I almost feel like they need to be more important than assists. They're on the same level of assist almost. Like it feels like they need to be the second best way to get points. It needs to be goals and then passing plus assist, or maybe passing and then assist is slightly above that. Because as it is right now, it's like dribbling is just, dribbling and keeping possession is a de facto way to play the game. Again, because ball handling moves are a bit too lenient, they don't cost enough, but also because passing's not very attractive unless it might get into like a potential goal scoring opportunity. So you guys definitely need to find a way to make that more incentivized. Passing laterally, passing backwards. Those things are almost never used. Like if you don't have a play, 9 out of 10 times people are going to try to force the ball. Either they're going to carry it or they're going to try to lob it forward or something. When they have someone right behind them, they can do a soft touch. That guy can make a play. Very selfish play for the most part, and I feel like the game does encourage that. I get that it's based more on Rocket League than football, but it's also kind of going with those mechanics that kind of encourage you to approach it like football when it comes to marking your man, making good passes, playing the ball down the flank with a possession-based style, setting up your teammates to score and things like that. But on the field, it doesn't do enough to kind of push people towards that type of play. Definitely something needs to happen on that front. And then other than that, I mean, it's okay. I think it will be a nice little side game. I don't think $30 on release is gonna sell. Like I'm predicting it's gonna sell somewhat, but it's gonna struggle just because we're in the age where free to play games can compete with this pretty easily, and you kind of have to convince people to spend their money. Also, it's gonna be a live service game. I'll support it, but I'm also coming with my expectations in check. I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping Slow Clap doesn't have all their eggs in one basket with this game, especially since they're not a AAA studio. Even if they were a AAA studio, it'd still be pretty bad. But hopefully that's useful. Again, hopefully this gets to them somehow. I'm going to post it on their Twitter. Hopefully that's useful. Again, I'm not a star at anything at this game. I'm just playing as I play. I have like 12 hours. I figured I'd give feedback now that the NDA is up.